Man, what the? Slackers. Yep.
I met the man whose prophet said he knew a man who knew the Oxford girl.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Umpteenth Time Hearing. I'm Bill, bringing you generally obscure songs from generally the 1980s, a little bit one way or the other, depending on what's rattling around in my brain. And I'm looking for artists that are mostly lesser known to the general public, speaking of American audiences or of European, particularly English audiences. I'm not so familiar with what's popular or not in other parts of the world, so can't speak so much to that. But what I'm trying to do is find lesser-known songs by lesser-known artists that I've picked up over the years and that I think might be of interest to the general public who wouldn't hear them otherwise. Stuff that for me will be my umpteenth time hearing, but for you might well be your first time hearing. And the promise here, as always, is that if you didn't like what was played last week, then you're going to hear something completely different this week. And likewise, if you don't like this week, well, wait until next. Speaking of last week's program, though, before I go any further, I do want to give a big thank you and a shout out to Frank Portman, Dr. Frank of the Mr. T Experience from last week's program. He gave me a nice little cheers bill in the comments section below, and this is my first foray into social media, so that kind of feedback from a band member of one of the artists that I'm featuring is really pretty excellent. So thanks so much, Dr. Frank. And as I said, we've got something very different this week. So we're going to go from the punk scene of Berkeley, California on the west coast of the United States back over across the Atlantic to the coastal village of Whitstable, Kent in England. A nice little, as I say, coastal village, well known for the quality of its oysters, which explains the 4 different band names that this artist have had. They started as Oyster Band, if I'm pronouncing that right, Ceilidh. And I looked for some Gaelic pronunciation guides on the internet, and I don't even know if that's a Gaelic word, actually. So my best guess, Oyster Band, a dance band founded in the late 70s, and only ever released one album under that name. And then starting in 1982, they began to go by Oyster Band, 2 words, also known during that period as the Oyster Band, which is how I discovered them with 1987's Wild Blue Yonder. And then following the release of 1990's Freedom Reign, sometime between then and their next release, they changed their name from Oyster Band to Oysterband, all one word. And so in 1992, when Deserter came out, that was their new name. Now, I know about these name changes, but I don't know anything about the why of it. If there's anyone out there who's a real fan of these artists, who knows anything about why the name changes happened, please share it in the comments below. I'd love to know. Speaking of the comments below, if you're new to this channel, please do click on that subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. Certainly any likes for this program if you like the music. Don't forget the notification bell if you want to find out what other music I'll be putting out in the coming weeks. And as I said before, let me know what you think about the program and the artists in the comments below. And as I mentioned, this week we're going to be taking a song from 1987's Wild Blue Yonder, which just happened to be the only album that they had at the radio station that I picked up browsing through the stacks. And the song I'm using from that album is The Oxford Girl, just because of the, as I mentioned at the end of last week's program, the great male-female dynamic in the vocals of this song. Now, as I mentioned last week, there's plenty of songs, or not plenty, there's songs out there where you hear that male-female dynamic in a much more personal sense of conflict, be it, as I mentioned, Meatloaf's Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York, or Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know. What makes this song interesting, though, is that it takes that conflict, and it's not so much a intensely personal conflict as it is men versus women in society, and a level of conflict that arises in a what I understand to be fictional narrative in this song. So I don't want to give too much away, and the song speaks for itself. Now, unfortunately, this is another one of those where all I have is an album cover. There is a video of a great live acoustic performance from 2009. I've provided that link below and really thought about using that just to have something more interesting than an album cover and me listening to a song that I know like the back of my hand. But I really do feel for your first time hearing this song that male-female dynamic is needed, and there is not a woman vocalist who's a regular part of the band. That was a guest artist for this recording. And so just because I want that out there, I did kind of go with the lesser interesting in terms of visuals for this. It's a little bit leaning towards radio than television or podcasting. I say television because I'm here at our local access channel in St. Albans, Vermont, recording this. That's what as some of my background too is working in public access television, so I tend to say that instead of internet or podcasting. But anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's get right to it. From 1987's Wild Blue Yonder, this is the Oyster Band with the Oxford Girl.
I met a man whose brother said he knew a man who knew the Oxford girl. I met a man whose brother said he knew a man who knew the Oxford girl. Is it true what you hear? Did he do it out of fear? Was the day drawing near when a child would start to show? Was it rage or shame or the damage to his name? Was it something worse? Does anybody know? Did she pay her price for making them look twice, like a glimpse of paradise across a dull and bitter land? Did she pass them by? Did she dare to meet their eye? Did she scorn them all, and did they understand?
A grief to her father,
Did she really leave him?
lover to her brother,
Yes, we all believe him.
temptation to her better,
No better than she should be.
unfaithful to her lover.
He always knew she would be.
I never had a chance to prove them wrong. My time was short, the story long. No, I never had a chance to prove them wrong. It's always them that write the song.
I met a man whose brother said he knew a man who knew the Oxford girl.
I met a man whose brother said he knew a man who knew the Oxford girl.
Did he go to ground? Was the suitcase ever found? Did the police come swarming round on a trail already cold? Did he lead them a dance? Did he run away to France? Or did he shock himself before the day was old? Oh, she was bound to lose if she set her face to choose. They never could excuse her for stirring up their fears. So she was much too young. The earth had stopped her tongue. You can hear the voices calling down the years.
I never had a chance to prove them wrong. My time was short, the story
I mean, what a really powerful song. I mean, there's those other songs that I mentioned where you have that male-female dynamic in the song, but it's like a personal conflict. Just looking at it on a much more societal level with that male-dominated rumor mill and gossip mill and the ability to destroy a woman's life just off of hearsay. As I did hint at in the opening comments to this program, that I've been able to determine this is not based on any type of a true story, which, greater kudos to the songwriter in that case, or songwriters. It tells a powerful story, and I think is, even if not a true story necessarily, would be unshocking in the least to find out that something like that's happened repeatedly over time. So that's really it for this program. As I said, there is a really nice acoustic performance of this from 2009 that you should check out. And the band is still active. One of the problems with this podcast is that so many of these artists are, these are 4 decades old in some cases. Band members have changed, bands have become defunct. Sometimes some of the band members have passed away in the interim. So some of these official band pages, official artist web pages that I've cited don't have that much information. But Oyster Band is still very active. There's tour dates listed. There's lots of information. I really recommend checking out their official website on the link below. And of course, if you didn't catch it, I should have mentioned beforehand, those lyrics are down there. So if you missed some of the song and you want to check it out with the lyrics, those are there for you as well. The only other question I would have for the comments section of this is any other songs that you can think of, anyone out there that have that sort of male-female dynamic. And I'm not, like I said, looking for songs where it's singing about our endless love for each other and how we're always going to be together and we were meant to be. There's plenty of songs like that. But particularly songs with that male-female conflict, either on the personal level, like the ones I've mentioned, or does anyone know any songs where it is a broader type of dynamic like this? That'd be fascinating to hear about in those comments below. Please let me know. But as always, like I say, add those to the comments while you're down there. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button, the notifications bell, if you want to hear what's coming next week. Appreciate any likes. And speaking of next week, we are going to have something very, very different. We're going to take an artist out of Germany that has a minimalist sound, and to that end, the song title is one of the most minimalist in its short version, but is also one of the longest song titles I know in its full version. I won't say any more than that. You'll just have to wait till next week. For now, though, I'm Bill saying, as always, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. Thank you so much for watching and tuning into the channel. Have yourselves a great day. Bye now.